you say the Torquay event sold out. Well, a number of them are sold out, and they probably all will be by the time we get to October, November, and December. Because I'm going around Europe before I go around the UK, and it's very encouraging because I have been on this road a long time, coming up 30 years, and it's been a lonely path for a lot of those years, and also one of great dismissal and ridicule and abuse. But if you keep going and you believe in what you're doing, and you don't stop to defend yourself or worry about what people say and do, then if what you say has validity, you'll get somewhere. And to see the interest in the work now is very, very encouraging, because it better be, given what's coming the other way. Because of course, we've been talking about this plan coming out of the hidden for a global Orwellian state and then some, and we're now looking it in the eye, and we really are at a point where people need to stop just being interested in the information and observing everything from the other side of the street, and cross the other side and start engaging with it, not least by ceasing to cooperate with it on a mass scale. And we need to realize that we are apparently multiple different expressions of humanity, be it races or political persuasion or income bracket or religion, whatever. But we're all, no matter what we call ourselves, no matter what labels we give ourselves, we're all in the gun sight of this hidden hand cabal. And one of the crucial situations it needs to succeed is to divide and rule the target population. And of course, what we're seeing now, not least with the election of Trump, which I say was calculated for many, many reasons, and one of them is to put on public display in the White House a divisive character. Because I've just come back from America, a few weeks ago now, both coasts, and America is incredibly divided, at least in the political realm and among the people in general. And we've got a situation now where we have two extremes with Trump and the so-called progressives on the other side, who are not progressive at all, and they're certainly not liberal. And this to and fro conflict between the two is absolutely dominating the public discourse. There's no room anymore for, policy. What do you do about all these homeless people in the streets of Los Angeles and elsewhere? It's, I'm for Trump, I'm against Trump. And so what I'm seeing, while at the same time more and more people are opening their minds to look at the world in a different way, which is incredibly encouraging. At the same time, there are many other people who are going deeper and deeper and deeper into the program. And what's very relevant and concerning is the number of people coming through the universities and colleges, not least in the United States, but it's moving into Britain and Europe as well now, who are, for anyone who's looking on dispassionately from the experience of how this thing works, how it's actually at its core, it is a psychological war on humanity. To observe the blatancy of the perceptual programs now that people in the colleges and universities and the schools are being subjected to is very concerning, and so there's a lot of work to do.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much as I said, I've got to say it again, thank you for being you. And I've just wrote a couple of quick things here now. I say this on every single show, that thanks to people like David, you're going to thank David, believe me, for showing you the prison that you're in. You should thankfully for people like David and others that the gap, there's a gap, a molasses slowness gap usually between when injustices and corruption and evil is done and when it's become exposed. There's always a long gap, but now that gap is closing. I'm delighted to say, thanks to people like David, it's closing. So no sooner something's done, whoosh, the spotlight of truth is on it. That's very, very, very uplifting. But what that's also doing is forcing evil's hand and forcing the controllers out of the shadows to be seen, like Dracula, and David will tell us about this now. So in other words, the quicker the awakening and recognition of the prison and how it works, the quicker those managing it are closing the gates and shutting the mouths of those telling the truth and speaking about it. And I'm glad that it's happened to Alex Jones, David, what's happened to Alex, and he's becoming very brilliant at changing things, to manipulate the situation so he can still be heard. But I'm glad that happened, because that proves what you've said for years and years and years, that the mouths will be shut now and clamped down one day. It's inspiring and it's worrying, isn't it?
Well, what's happening is very simple and was just so predictable. The core of the control system, as it's meant to unfold, is the internet. The internet was created by DARPA, the technology on which the internet is based and founded, was created by DARPA, the technological development arm of the Pentagon. And this gives wonderful gifts to humanity, like death rays and AI-controlled soldiers and endless new ways to kill people. So it's a lovely organization. And it was also a seed funder of the technology that we now call office assistants, that people in such unfortunate numbers have in their homes today. So we have Death Ray, DARPA, we have Internet DARPA, we have Office Assistant DARPA. How can this be explained? How weird, but it's not. Because the internet is a fantastic vehicle for, first of all, surveillance, secondly, controlling what people see and hear, and thirdly, it is a fundamental foundation part of the plan to connect artificial intelligence to the human mind, so artificial intelligence usurps and overrides and becomes the human mind. So when DARPA and the rest of the military intelligence complex started unfolding the internet, they couldn't just have it as they want it to end up. Because people say, oh, I'm not going to use that. I'll keep reading the papers, keep doing it the way I did before, watching the television, whatever. So they sold the internet by letting the internet be what it could be, and would be a very good thing if it was allowed to be, and that is a vehicle for the free flow of information, opinion, and discourse with people around the world. It could be a vehicle for incredible good, and of course, for a long time it has been. I mean, this information about how the world's controlled and who by, that the mainstream media will never tell you, has circulated thanks to the internet. This was a downside of introducing the internet, because they had to let it be something that was perceived as great, and to, through that, become central to the way that information is communicated, and central basically to human life today. At the same time, this same complex has been seed funding and in many other ways supporting the emergence of internet giants like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all the rest of it. Amazon, YouTube, of course, which is owned by Google. And they too went down the same psychological road. When they started, all information could be communicated. All opinions could be expressed. Ain't this great? And it was. In the sense that, I mean, things not great about it, but in the sense of the circulation of all opinion and information, it was a great thing. But the plan was always, when these giants reached a point of basic monopoly, to then start turning the internet into what it was always meant to be, a system of control. And so suddenly the Facebooks start dictating what can and cannot be said and communicated. Now we're seeing Twitter moving down that same road. We've got YouTube deleting channels of alternative information. The last week we've had examples, but there are others that have not reached the public attention of Amazon saying we're not going to sell this book or circulate this book or that book because it's not inside our guidelines. And the guidelines, of course, are anything they decide they are. And so we're seeing now the internet becoming what it was always meant to be. But we have a situation now where these internet giants have, while appearing to be okay with the flow of information, have been building up this monopoly to the point now that they've basically reached a situation where they're saying, well, okay, all right, yeah, you can see what we're doing, but who else are you going to use? There is nobody else. and so they're becoming more and more in your face with it, or in your Facebook with it. And so this was always going to happen. And look, if you're the military intelligence industrial secret society network, and look at three things you absolutely want in this agenda of human control. One, you want 24/7 surveillance. Well, now we have billions of people literally who are giving every day the complex, the network, all their personal information. They don't have to listen in onto your calls. When they'll do that for people they're actually targeting. But they don't have to do that anymore because you're telling them everything they need to know about your background, your opinions, your political persuasion, all of it. And two, you want to control what people see and hear because that is the information from which the population form their perceptions of everything. They form their perceptions of the world themselves, world events, from information received. Control that, you are seriously forming the population's perceptions. And of course, thirdly, you want to connect the human mind to artificial intelligence, which the Devil's Playground, Silicon Valley, which I was there a few weeks ago, is absolutely openly talking about now. People like Ray Kurzweil, the Google executive. And you look at Google and the power that has by where it puts information in its search engine listings, i.e. whether people see it or not, and Facebook and Twitter and all these, Amazon, YouTube, look at what they give this network. They give them 24/7 surveillance. They give them control of information, and a lot of people don't realize this, people like Google and Facebook are at the right there at the cutting edge of the AI takeover, and that's what it is, a takeover. And so, as I said in a video recently, if Facebook, Google, and the others did not exist, then the military intelligence complex would have to invent them. And I say they did. I say they did. I say this has been the plan all along. And you know, one of the great ways that the real game, the real reason for all this is hidden, is this idea that all this surveillance, etc., and all this you can't say that, you can't say that, is because of advertising. Keeping the advertisers happy and being able to give advertisers phenomenal amounts of personal information for targeted advertising. And on one level that is happening, of course it's happening, but it's not the bottom of the rabbit hole. It's much higher up the rabbit hole than that. And it's a bonus. They make a fortune out of it. And all the control and accumulation of personal data. But the real reason for it, beyond advertising, beyond pure money, is it's going into the military industrial intelligence complex, and organizations or locations like the National Security Agency massive center in Utah, which is recording and retaining all this information from all communication sources from all over the world. And so this is what we are looking at, and we need to understand that pretty damn quick, because this is moving very fast.